don't think I ever told anyone this before, but I carry something within me. And I discovered this when I was a very young child, 3 years old. I was in my house, in the dining room, and a nurse was holding me, and my brother Dick was brought in. Just born, Dickie, from the hospital. And he was being held by my mother as he came in the front door. And something shot through me. Something gave my system a jolt. And somehow in my little 3-year-old brain, I probably didn't think the way we do now, but I somehow said in some way, I will remember this. And that was the first of what I call life reference points. And right now I have 26 of them. And maybe every year or every other year, sometimes twice a year, one of these jolts comes through me. And like a calculator or like a computer, I register it. I remember when I went camping when I was 11 years old by myself, and I had a blanket as a tent. I was waiting for Wendell Kessler to come. He wasn't there yet. I had this great package of 15 comic books my aunt, who owned a drugstore, had given me. I hadn't read them. I'd saved them. I was sitting there. I had a canteen full of Coca-Cola, and I opened it up, and I took a drink of Coca-Cola, and I opened the first comic book, and this plane flew over so low, and it was great. And I said, I will remember this. Another time, I remember when Michael Smilak gave me $10. That was when I was 8. And I said, what's this for? And he says, I'm rich. I'm a rich kid. And I said, I'm going to remember this. And these linchpins, that's what I've decided they are. They're linchpins in my life. They lock my life together. They hold it together. And I can run them all through, all 26. I can go in any order. I can go at number 9. I can number 2, or 25. And sometimes I just do it. It's almost like a soothing mantra. And it's my whole life. Number 1, remember my brother Dickie was brought home. Number 2 is when I pissed on Debbie Adams. She was 6 years old. And I remember she was laughing. She wasn't crying. Number 3 was Michael Smilak and the $10. Number 4 was the camping thing I mentioned. Number 5 was when my mom had a nervous breakdown. Dad said that, and she was in the hospital. And I wondered if she was really all right, and I was 10 years old. Number 6 was when I masturbated for the first time, and I felt so guilty. And I said, God, I'll never do it again. And I'll remember this, I said. And number 7 was when I did it again. Number 8 was Miss Katrine, my teacher, was hit by a car and killed right in front of me. And she was dragged along, and a piece of her head came off. And I was 12 years old. Number 9, Mom and Dad had a big fight, pushing and screaming. And Mom said, why don't you leave? Why don't you get out of here? But they didn't split. But I remember that. And 10 was, I was flunking half of my classes and my courses, and I thought, maybe I really am stupid. And 11, all of my friends had a driver's license, and I didn't. And I didn't care, but I hated myself. And 12 was when Eileen said she wanted to sleep with me, and I turned red, really bright beet red, and I said, oh God, I hate high school. Number 13, I bought a prophylactic. And I tried 9 or 10 times until no one was at the counter, at least no women. And finally, Jack, who I knew a little bit, was 18 or so, he was there. And thank God he didn't make a remark, and I remember that. 14, I made love with Darlene, and I pretended that it was Eileen. And I was already Mr. Fantasy. It was really dumb baby sex, but I remember it. 15, as a prank in college, a friend and I burned a cross in front of Dr. Geiger's house. He was a fascist bastard, and we thought, oh, this will really be ironic. But we missed by one house, and we burnt the cross in front of a black family's house. And I felt so guilty, and I felt that I was going to be caught. It was a very small town, and I was in total panic. I'll never forget that. And 16 was a horrible event, and I still can't speak of that, at least in public. In 17, I published a short story. In 18, I had a radio show, my first radio show in WDCW in Defiance, Ohio. In 19, I got married. We got married twice, the last time for her mother in a church ceremony, and I really resented that, and I remember it. 20 involved some anti-war stuffs and some bombs. Some of the stuff I don't like to think about. In 21, my daughter was born, and I wrote 2 songs for her. Oh, the baby daughter, ho, ho, the little good girl. And I still love her so much. 22, my marriage ended. She wants to leave. She wanted to leave. I'll always remember that feeling. At 23, I was walking on Amsterdam Avenue in Manhattan, and I thought, I'm getting so old. I'm all alone. What have I accomplished with my life? And the street light right to my left, just across the street, was flickering. 24, Alice and I are together, and I'm so much in love. But she had a huge family, and it was so weird. I wondered what would happen. And one day, Paula, her daughter, said, "You're not my father." And I said, "Nice cliche, Paula." And later I wondered, why did I have to put her down? I'll remember that, and I'll remember what her face looked like. 25, Alice died. Everything went blank. And for a couple of years, I didn't have anything until yesterday. Yesterday, I remembered where I buried the silver dollars when I was 7 at Mom's house. I can't wait to go there and dig them up. I wonder if they'll be there.
You've referred to 26 experiences that you decided purposefully to remember. Are there some other experiences that almost made it to that list and didn't quite make it? And what were they?
Once I was when I was in college, in a horrible accident at a friend's wedding. We were driving to the wedding, and we lost our way, and I asked at a gas station what road to take, and he said the next road to the right. I didn't realize this was a road under construction. He meant the road after that, and it was turning dark, and I turned down it, and I went 40, 50, 60 miles an hour, and all of a sudden the road came to an end, and I went over the cliff, and I went nose down, about an 8-foot drop. My head went into the windshield, and I could see events from my childhood. I was roller skating in our alley behind our house. Where I lived, we had alleys. I was talking to a teacher. My mother said, "Come on in for lunch." All these flashed through my head, and also flashing through my head was, no, this is not going to go onto the list.
Do you have any other experiences that didn't quite make the list?
Yes, there was one. It almost became number 2. My brother was still under a year old. He couldn't walk, I know. And he was in his crib. And I went into the bedroom, and I started blowing on his belly, and he started laughing. And then I started tickling him, and he started laughing. And I started doing it for long periods of time until the laugh started to get this kind of desperate quality to it. And the baby Dick's face was turning red, and I knew I had this power that I could do almost anything I want. I could stop, I could kiss the baby, hold the baby, and make the baby feel better, or I could really give it to the baby and just drive the baby wild. And I said, boy, I have all this power. And I said, I wonder if I'll remember this.
In number 21, you referred to making up 2 songs at the birth of your daughter, but you only sang one of those songs. Do you remember what the other one was?
Yes, but the first song I made up somehow locked in. The other song became trivial, so it's not part of 21 anymore.
But you referred to 2 songs. I mean, when you referred to 21, you said you sang 2 songs. So in effect, I mean, doesn't that suggest it is part of 21?
Well, somehow it is part of 21 that there are 2 songs, but somehow the first song I can sing a line, and that's part of being 21 is singing that line. The second song is not supposed to be sung, I guess, somehow, when I recall it.
Well, wouldn't it make more sense to say that in number 21, I wrote 2 songs and one of them was memorable, and then sing that one, as opposed to...
You're intellectualizing it. This is the way it comes out. I'm not thinking about this. I'm not trying to edit my linchpins.
How's the weather?
Sleeting. Very hard.
Have you been out today?